Well, welcome. That was me, Marianne Brewer, this morning with my horse, Sterling, just having a little play for breakfast, before breakfast. And welcome to Magnetize Your Horse-Human Relationship, Part 1 of a 3-part webinar series. This is me on the beach with my girl, Summer. And I'm going to share with you today some great information. And I'm just going to start with a fun and interesting fact, and that is that there's almost 4 million horses here in the United States, and that 84% of those horse owners are women 38 years or older. And out of all those women, 85% of those women are recreational riders. So we have horses for our own recreational endeavors. They're essentially us and ours for fun. So the chances are you're one of them. And with recreational horses come challenges. And out of all of the ladies that I've spoken to, and some are gentlemen, who are in this category of over 38 years old. The top 3 challenges that people are facing are fear, and this is fear of failure, fear of being hurt, fear of our horses, fear that we're going to hurt our horses or mess them up, that we want to do them a disservice, that we don't want to do them a disservice. Fitness can be challenging when you are beginning to get a little bit older. And so it's not only physical fitness, but it's mental fitness and emotional fitness. So if we can, if our horses are recreation for us, can we be recreation for them? And sometimes we come to them all wound up from, the stresses of life, and they're not necessarily finding us to be their recreation. And then the third top challenge is conflicting information. You ask 10 horsemen the same question and you'll get 10 different answers. And so how do we sort through all of that? How do we categorize it? And how do we pick the best answers for us? And I find some people take a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And what I find is that they've got a lot of conflicting information that they're giving to their horses and that they have in their own mind. So we're going to work on fear and really getting, cultivating a mindset that is available for learning and being with horses. And there's 3 webinars here, and they're going to all kind of address all 3 of these issues. So I encourage you to just watch all 3. There's no waiting. You can watch them right in a row or watch them anytime you want. Because that's the beauty of pre-recorded webinars. So I'm going to help you out today with some mindset strategies. So first, just to say a little bit about who Marianne Brewer is, I want you to know that I am filled with gratitude that you are here, so welcome. I know that I can help you, and I want to do that. And here's how I know that I can help you and why I want to help you. I got my first horse as an adult in 1990. Back then, I had three small children. I was running a business. I owned a farm. My parents actually lived on the farm with me, so I had a lot of responsibility around making sure that things went well. I certainly, it was a lifelong dream come true for me, but pretty soon my dream turned into a nightmare because, my 10-year-old gelding that I bought, proceeded to buck me off. He was supposed to be a been there, done that kind of horse. My three sons could ride him together all over the farm. He would never buck them off, but he bucked me off. So I was on a why horsemanship journey. And I also, I, like nobody else, I didn't have any time or extra, whatever it takes to be hurt. So, that was a thing for me there in the beginning. So it took me a few years. I searched the world over, and I talked to many, many horsemen in my town and in my state and in my region. And I eventually found the world of natural horsemanship. And I fell into that world, and I committed to completing my foundation program. And that took me just about 10 years to do because I was busy, working and raising children and having a life outside of my horse. But in 2005, I completed that foundation program. And then in 2006, I started my company called In the Company of Horses. And we've spent the last 12, now going on 13 years, facilitating equine assisted learning and psychotherapy sessions. So I'm an advanced certified equine specialist, and I'm a mentor for other equine specialists. And I partner with mental health professionals, and we use my horses and we take them to some local institutions. And some people come here to the farm, and we help them grow and learn by way of the horse, not necessarily by teaching them anything, but by setting up opportunities for them to learn through self-discovery, which is the most powerful way to learn, by the way. I spend all my days teaching people ways that they can live a life with their horses that they love. I'm a master problem solver. That is what I do. I solve problems. So if you have problems, bring them to me. I would love to help. That's horse problems, by the way. And I am an international horsemanship coach. I have a coaching program where I coach people online, which is actually really helpful because they actually are able to learn all kinds of great things away from their horses. And then you'll see there's lots. I'll share that program with you as we go. But that's just a little bit about me. So let's jump right into mindset, because mindset is really where fear lives. Fear really lives in our minds. Not that it's not real, there's not real physical fear that's possible, but fear typically lives in our minds. So whether it's our horse that is afraid, and it might be afraid of you or other people, particular people, maybe like the farrier, or maybe like the vet, or maybe like some person who handles them at the barn, or something like that, maybe the trainer. They might be afraid of places or things, particular places, like maybe that end of the arena, or bushes, or the trailer, or maybe it's that they're afraid of clippers, or blankets, or their saddle even, or indoor arenas or outdoor arenas, or whatever it is. And then there's our fears, and sometimes we're afraid of our horse in particular situations, maybe situations where they look like this, or they decide they want to go faster than we want to go, or they are not listening to us, or maybe they're not doing the thing we want them to do, or maybe we're afraid that we're going to be hurt because our horses don't be careful of our space, and they push into us or step on us. And maybe we're actually afraid of hurting our horses or messing up our horses. Yeah, those things. So where do these fears actually come from? And then we're going to talk about that today. And where do they live? Why do they perpetuate? And we're going to talk about that in the future. And what is there to do about it? And we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about that on webinar number 2 and webinar number 3. So be sure to watch the series to the end. Today's webinar is going to be about 30 minutes long, and we're going to start right off with mindset strategies. So how I know that I can help you with mindset strategies is because for more than 10 years in the early 2000s, I actually studied what is common to all human beings. And that study consisted of actually looking at things like, for example, there are a certain set of commonalities to, like, let's say all airplanes, right? So whether it's a glider or a cargo plane or a passenger plane or a fighter jet, airplanes all have a particular set of commonalities, and human beings are just like that too. So no matter where we live in the world, or whether we're male or female, or what language we speak, or what socioeconomic situation we come from, it almost doesn't matter, because we have this certain set of commonalities it's called being human. And so one of the things I learned is that most of us have what I'll call an already and always conversation that's running in the background of our mind, in our subconscious, and we don't even know that it's there. And actually we seed and water it, and we cultivate it, and we don't even know that we're doing it. But these conversations, they sound something like, I'm not, and then you fill in the blank. Right? And so it's some version of, I'm just not good enough. I'm not fit enough to, and then you fill out the blanks, or I'm not coordinated enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I can't remember, or I don't have, and here's a whole litany of things I don't have, right? I don't have the right something, time. I don't have the right amount of money. I don't have the space. I don't have an arena, whatever it is, right? I just don't have the right thing, or for some reason I'm just not good enough. But the point is whichever conversations are running in the background of our own particular situations, they're hidden from our view, and whether we know it or not, these conversations affect our outcomes. They affect our outcomes because they live in our subconscious, and they're constantly churning up and creating a future for us. So if you had an automatic thought when I said, these already and always conversations look like I'm not, and then you fill in the blank. If you had a thought, about what your not good enough conversation is, just jot that down, because more than likely that's the thing, and it'll live like it's true for you. It'll live like it's real for you. It won't live like a conversation. It's going to live like the truth. Well, I really don't have an arena. Well, I really don't have the right trailer, or I really have trouble with my memory or focus, or I'm not fit enough. I have a bum leg, or I have some physical condition that stops me. Like it'll live real. And the thing is this conversation started for us when we were very young, and it's just permeated and evolved throughout our time, growing older and older. And now it looks and lives like it's a real thing. And so when we take a look at our already and always conversations about you as a horse person, like, what do you actually see? Are you actually seeing yourself as right sized? Are you actually seeing, yourself? Are you really a kitten who sees yourself as a lion pretending, going through life pretending? Or are you really a lion who sees yourself only as a kitten? Are you really a talented human being who thinks they really don't have what it takes or don't know? Or are you somewhere in between? Because that's fine too. There's all different places where we are. Nobody is, most of us don't see ourselves the way we truly are. And it's because of these already and always conversations that live in our subconscious. And here's the thing about these already and always conversations. They are just conversations when we know that they're only conversations. They're kind of like superstitions, right? They're only superstitions when they're not superstitions. Like when we know the jig's up. So if we know, like if I know that breaking a mirror is not going to give me 7 years bad luck, if I know that's just a superstition, that's not going to have any hold on me. But if I believe that breaking a mirror is going to give me 7 years bad luck, I'm going to be looking for that bad luck. Anything that ever happens, I'm going to credit it to that bad luck, right? Because it's real. It doesn't live, it doesn't live like a superstition. And that's the same way with these already and always conversations. They're not just conversations, they live real for us. And we have proof throughout our lives because we've found the proof, we looked for it, we've created it, just like the broken mirror and the 7 years of bad luck, or the black cat crossing the path, or whatever it is. So hopefully that's starting to make a little bit of sense to you, because this is really where that fear lives. It's where a lot of our undistinguished conversations live. And then there are the already and always beliefs about our horses, or horses in general. So this conversation sounds something like, my horse is, or my horse is not, and then ... right? You fill in the blanks, right? Oh, I have a very athletic horse. I have a very, very brave horse. I have a very fit horse. I have a very dominant horse, a very scared horse. My horse is herd bound, or buddy sour, or barn sour, or too fast, or too slow, or whatever those things are. And then there's, my horse doesn't trailer load, doesn't like the rain, doesn't get along with other horses, doesn't like wind, doesn't like bushes, doesn't like plastic bags, doesn't like fly spray, doesn't like bicycles, doesn't like that end of the arena. And then there's all the things that my horse needs, right? My horse needs to be ridden in a bit. My horse needs shoes. My horse needs these tie downs or martingales, or this bigger, better, newer, different type of trailer, because this one's not the right one for my horse. And I promise you, the new one's not the right one either. We'll talk ourselves into saying it is. This thing about, I had an experience just recently with a gal who got a new horse, and a lovely little horse, and she was all excited about it, riding it all over the place, a little Icelandic horse. And we were out riding. I was riding her older horse for her, and we were going out together. And because she wanted somebody to ride with, and we were going. There's these lovely railed trails nearby, where they took out old railroad tracks and made them walking trails, and they can be also bridle paths for horses. And we were out riding, and all of a sudden, she leapt off of her horse, and she was standing there next to the horse. I said, "Oh my goodness, what happened?" And she said, "Oh, well, there's a bicycle coming." And I said, "Oh, did your horse get afraid of the bicycle?" And she said, "Well, no, I don't think so." And I said, "Well, then what's going on?" And she said, "Well, I thought she might get afraid of the bicycle." And I said, "Well, what made you think she would get afraid of the bicycle?" "Oh, well, I was out with so-and-so the other day, and they said, well, you should be careful. Your horse might be afraid of bicycles." So can you see how she's putting that belief about her horse that it's not even true? It didn't even happen. Somebody suggested that maybe it might happen. She's filed that right in that filing cabinet of information that says, watch out, my horse is afraid of bicycles, such that she didn't even give her horse an opportunity to be afraid of the bicycle. She's like creating that her horse is afraid of the bicycle. And this is what happens. This is where our already and always beliefs come from. So she has this whole idea now that her horse is afraid of bicycles, and her horse gave her no indication whatsoever that it's afraid of bicycles. So look to see where have you done that in the past? Because we all have created that for our horses. But our horses even begin to believe this. Remember, right? Our horses are mind readers. They're really keenly in touch with the intentions and motives and concerns of the predator, their predators, their owners. They can't do anything else. We're going to talk about that in a little while. But even our horses begin to believe these myths, such that here these horses are all in the barn on this beautiful, bright, sunny day, instead of all out in their pasture, doing what horses do, because it's like, I don't know, too hot, or we don't go out when there's bugs, or we have to be in when it's hot, or whatever it is, right? All the blanketing we do. The horses even start believing it. Where's my blanket? I'm cold. So the thing that I want you to know is your mind is a powerful place. look what it's created. Look around you. Look around the world and see what minds have created. I mean, even the most creative minds have have created machines that can do interesting things, but without the creative human mind, these things could not even have been created. So here's a quote from Henry Ford, right? Henry Ford, who was responsible for creating the automobile and actually creating our highway system in our country. It's an amazing, in the world, right? For that matter, the very thing that replaced the horse. But Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Our mind is very powerful, and we need to train it to give us what we want. So we're going to work on mindset that supports what we want. But this is my student, Lauren, and this is her off the track thoroughbred. And she never imagined that she was going to be riding her off the track thoroughbred in a rope halter. She didn't think it was possible. She was sure she needed a bit for control. When the truth is, if she uses her bit, she uses it for refined communication, because she's learned a new language with her horse. So they don't need to use pain for control. Now they have a language they use for control. It's called communication, kind of like what you saw in the video in the beginning of this webinar. Lots of communication happening in that video, not tools. So horses are herd animals at the DNA level. So at their very core, they're herd animals, and that means that they want to be together. And we can use this to magnetize our horses to us, right? You've experienced that, like herd bound or herd sour, buddy sour horses on the trail who, want to be first or second or third. There are always those dynamics that are happening. That's their DNA level. We want to use this. Let's not make them wrong for it. Let's sculpt and manage that behavior and magnetize these horses to us. So it's you and your horse that can go places together. It's not like you ride the herd. It's like you ride your horse, and your horse is connected to you and the herd, but it's you and your horse that are having the conversation. So to do this, we need to learn what our horses like. We need to learn what our horses need, and we need to learn what's actually important to our horses. And for the most part, horses' needs are pretty similar. They actually need very little. They need, food, shelter, water, companionship. That's pretty much it. They don't really require a lot. They, would graze 23 hours a day in the same pasture for years and years and probably be very happy if they had friends and water. So they need very little. And then their likes might vary. And what's really important to horses, we really want to look at that. We really want to start looking at really what's important to our horses in particular. So this is just what horses do. They quickly assemble in their exact order, like these magnets. This is a natural law. Like flocks of birds, schools of fish, and herds of horses, it's a law of nature, and it's actually how the law of attraction works. Unseen forces are running in the background, like our already and always conversations. If we set up the right circumstances, our horses will hurry to assemble in the perfect order at the perfect time with us. So we need to become who our horses want to be with. We need to learn to speak their language, and we need to help them learn to speak our language. It's as if someone has come from a foreign land and they don't speak our language. We need to do all that we can to help them understand and not get mad at them when they make the wrong choice, but help them understand what the right choice is. So there's a lot of strategy that goes into that. We're going to talk about productive mindset use and productive emotion use and physical strategies as we go through this little series of webinars. So to become the magnet, the first thing we need to do is be honest about what's going on with us. And I use this word honesty because I think it's the best fitting word. In truth, most people are not lying about what's going on for them. Most people don't know what's going on for them. They're at the effect of physical feelings and emotions that they can't really identify. But I'm going to say, I want us to get honest about what's going on for us, because I want us to take a real, honest, hard look at what exactly is happening. I say hard look, I don't really mean that. I just mean I want us to take like a bird's eye view, like a candid look, like we're watching somebody else. You know how sometimes it's easy to see what's going on for them? Let's see if we can do that about us. So we need to tell the truth when we're with our horses, because there's nowhere to hide. We need to stop trying. Like, there's no fake it till you make it with horses. You know, you can't show them who's boss, because they already know. If it's not you, then it's not you. Horses are really, really keen observers. They have to be. Their life depends on it. A prey animal's life depends on reading the intention of a predator. And whether you know it or not, or you like it or not, the relationship that you have with your horse is that of a prey and predator. And I don't mean that you have the relationship like the fox and the hare. Like, I don't mean you're going to eat the horse if you catch it. But at the DNA level, horses are prey animals and they know it. And I think that we aren't as connected to the fact that we're predators, because in 2017, we're now going into 2018, we're really removed from the food chain. You know, we think our food comes from the grocery store, you know, when in fact, you know, some animal probably died because we ate. And that's the harsh reality of it. And I'm a meat eater. I'm not suggesting anything is wrong with it. But once we are aware of that, and once we know that, that's going to make a big difference to how we see our horses, and how when they act like I'm going to eat them, maybe it's because they really thought that. Do you ever see that? Your horse acts like all of a sudden, oh my gosh, well, you know, they act like you just were going to eat them, you know, or somebody was going to eat them. Well, you know, that might actually be what they're thinking. So we need to tell the truth, because there's nowhere to hide. And if we make a mistake, we want to clean it up straight away. We don't want to go around making mistakes and pretending that our horses didn't notice. And we don't want to go down the rabbit hole that's sure to follow. We simply want to commit to improving whatever is needed. So here's more on honesty. If we come to our horses with a hidden agenda, they will know it. This is where having a big, clear picture, and we're going to talk more about that later. This is where it's so helpful. What is the relationship that you want to have with your horse? What does it actually look like? What are you actually doing together? Have you ever seen, you know, the guy who walks out into the pasture to catch the horse with a bucket of grain in one hand and the halter and the lead rope behind him? That's not honest, right? That's a hidden agenda. Remember all those already and always thoughts that are running and potentially hidden from our awareness? These thoughts can show up as incongruent or dishonest to others, especially horses who are programmed to read the motives of predators. Horses are so sensitive to the slightest changes that they can detect a shallowing or a shortening of our breath, a rise in our heartbeat, or a constriction in our gut or throat. Horses are reading our focus and energy, the clock and the weather, and we're teaching them to do it all the time. So in short, here's how you be honest. If you're happy, be happy. If you're sad, be sad. If you're PMSing, be PMSing. If you're mad, be mad. If you're thoughtful, be thoughtful. Our horses may not be attracted to some of these emotions, but they will be congruent and they'll be easily read by our horses. And that's going to help us to get honest about what's really going on for us. We don't want to let things fester. We don't want to put icing on a mud pie and pretend it doesn't exist. If it's yucky and it's your doing, clean it up straight away. I say that, and I know that that sounds, you know, that's a lot of statement right there. We don't want to let things fester. We don't want to put icing on a mud pie and pretend it doesn't exist. If we don't uncover the things like our already and always conversation, if we don't get to the bottom of that stuff, it's gonna be like putting icing on a mud pie. It'll look look okay on the outside, but when you start diving in, or when, when it gets hot, and what do they say about, um, you start to get to know people when things go badly, right? When things aren't going the way that you want them to go, that icing is going to melt off that mud pie, and soon enough, the mud is going to be what's showing. So if you feel bad about something, this is your insides telling your outsides that something is not right. We can't go back in time and fix things, but we can go forward in time and commit to fixing things in the future. We need to be informed by the past, but not limited because of it. I speak to my horses in plain English. If I make a mistake, I say, "Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. I was really uncoordinated there. I'm going to fix that. I promise to fix that and be better in the future. I promise to be better with my ropes or my tools or my feet or my footfalls or my concentration or whatever it is that I need to do, because I want to show up for my horse being the best I can be." I had a horsemanship mentor a few years ago. She's still my mentor, but she moved far away, so I don't really get to see her very often anymore. But she gave me the best advice I'd ever gotten from anyone about horses. It was when I first got Sterling, my horse that you saw in the video in the beginning. He's a stallion. He's coming 8 now, but when I first got him, she said to me, "Marianne, you don't need to teach Sterling about Sterling. You need to teach Sterling about Marianne." And I thought, what a gift. Because I can figure out who I am. I have no idea who he is. I have no idea who a stallion is. I have no idea who a stallion's supposed to be. I have no idea how I'm going to deal with a stallion when I've got 8 mares. Like, what does that look like, right? So putting the responsibility of me showing Sterling who Marianne is allowed me every single day to go out and show him who I wanted him to know me to be. So I give you that tidbit of advice because it is a gem. It was gold when I got it, and it carries me through every single day. It carries me through every single horsemanship lesson. Every single time I'm visiting with a new horse, or I'm helping a horse, some troubled horse trailer load, or whatever it is that I can do, it makes all the difference when I show them who I am, because then they can count on, this is who Marianne is. So I show them who I am, and I prove to them that you can count on me to be this in every situation. And if there's any time that I'm not that, I'm going to clean that up straight away, because I want them to know me as this person I'm presenting myself to be. I don't want to be incongruent or pretending. And don't go down the rabbit hole of making yourself wrong, not good enough, not athletic enough, having no rhythm, can't pay attention, can't focus or stay present. If you find yourself there, clean it up straight away and commit to not giving yourself permission to go down that rabbit hole again. Now, I've spent a lot of time over the years in personal development workshops and classes, and in horsemanship workshops, hundreds and hundreds of horsemanship workshops over the years, trying to figure it out, And so I'm a person, like when I hear a saying like down the rabbit hole, I kind of want to look that up and I want to see what it means. And so I looked this up, and it said it was a metaphor for the entry into the unknown and disorienting, or the mentally deranging, from its use in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. So don't go down the rabbit hole. Okay, so that's the end of our webinar for today. It just brings us to where we're going to go next. So be sure to follow along and see webinar number 2. It's available for you right now. If you have any questions, or if you'd love to hear more about, I'm going to tell you more about my 6-month coaching program as we go through these webinars. But if you know for sure that you'd like to actually explore what's possible inside of having a 6-month coaching relationship with me, this is actually how you get a hold of me. It's a discovery call. It lasts for an hour. It's free. And it really is an opportunity for us to explore one another. Me get to know you, and you get to know me, and see if a one-on-one coaching program is right for you and your horse and any issues you might be having. And this is how you get a hold of me. You go to this Acuity Scheduling is a scheduling company, and you'll go to mariambrewer.acuityscheduling.com, and you'll see all of the times when it's available for me to talk. And then at our scheduled time, you'll have my phone number there, and you will call me. And then we'll have an hour to chat about For the Love of Horses and what that program looks like. And for now, I just look forward to seeing you on webinar number 2, which is going to be productive emotion use and all about help with conflicting information. So thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you in the future. Bye-bye.